My name is Deni Elliott, and I hold the Eleanor Poynter Jamison Chair in Media Ethics and Press Policy at the University of South Florida. I finished my doctoral work in 1984, so I've been teaching ethics for a long time. I started off as an assistant professor at Utah State University, and then took a year-long fellowship at Dartmouth College. Was tenured at Utah State University a couple of years later. I went from Dartmouth, where I was a Rockefeller Fellow for Professional Ethics, and then the first full-time director for the Ethics Institute at Dartmouth College. And Pat Werhane was in that next year of Rockefeller Fellows. And then I went to the University of Montana as the Mansfield Professor of Ethics and Public Affairs and Professor in the Philosophy Department. And then I went from Montana to the University of South Florida and switched to a journalism department. But I've been teaching in departments of journalism, in departments of philosophy, and in departments of education since I came out of Harvard, and have been tenured in two of the three. My interest in ethics developed probably because I grew up in Washington, D.C. during the era of civil rights and Vietnam anti-war work. I was only 9 when Martin Luther King came to D.C. for the March on Washington, and I really wanted to go. And my parents were apolitical. But they told me if I could find responsible adults, I could go. So I went door to door in my neighborhood and met some folks who were going to the March on Washington, and they took me to that and basically to lots of civil rights work and anti-war work after that. And so by the time I got through high school, college, I really felt like I could change the world. I mean, we had, with the civil rights work and ending the Vietnam War. So I always had this feeling that I was supposed to change the world and work with other people who had those kinds of lofty ambitions. And I wasn't quite sure what to do with my academic work. I started off at the University of Maryland with an undergraduate degree in classical rhetorical theory and a minor in journalism. And I remember my mentor, Kathleen Hall Jamison, saying to me that if Aristotle were editor, I could find a job. But as it was, I did some work for a while, but then I did a master's degree in philosophy and realized that I had found my home, that philosophy spoke to me the way nothing else had. And it helped me understand the bad things that people did, and it helped me understand the greatness that people could achieve. When I was at Dartmouth as the first director of the Ethics Institute there, I was privileged to work with Bernie Gert and Chuck Culver and Ron Green and Jim Moore, Dan Clauser, some of the real pioneers in this field. And in the late 80s, there was a small consortium of people from around the country who came together at Indiana University at the invitation of David Smith to talk about creating an organization that would promote the work in I think what was then called applied ethics. So this group that came together at Indiana University for our initial meeting about forming a new national association, what was that national association, were people who believed in that idea. Cicely Bach was part of the group, and she had been my mentor in graduate school. Dan Callahan, who I knew from my work at the Hastings Center, and I think Art Kaplan was there too. But again, it was a gathering of just really great people who I wanted to be when I grew up. So we talked about how the American Philosophical Association just wasn't doing enough, that we needed an organization that helped students and young faculty feel like their work in ethics had meaning. And now, so many years later, it just seems silly to think that anyone could say that work in ethics was unimportant. It seems to me today that our society has grown to the point of understanding that we're surrounded by ethical issues, and we need ethical expertise, whether we're talking about medical care or climate change or who's in government and representing the people. The people who were initially involved were usually engaged in a grant. I'm thinking that we came together through grants and seminars and symposiums and teaching ethics workshops at the Hastings Center. And we had an opportunity to both get some funding to support the work that we were doing and to support one another in the process. I think that one of the things that makes ethics special in higher education is this feeling that we're all in this together. And over the years, as ethics degrees have been created and ethics certificates have been created, one of the things that's remained has been interest and support that people in the field offer to one another and that we offer cross-discipline. That's one of the other nice things about ethics. You don't have to be a philosopher to do it. I think it's good to have a philosopher around, of course, but people can do ethics from any walk of life. And that's the point that we want to make, is every one of us has the power and responsibility to change the world, and that's what doing ethics is. I think that ethics education in higher education is more important now than it's ever been before, because more students are doing post-secondary work of one sort or another. And I think that ethics education provides an opportunity for people who come from different cultures, different religions, different backgrounds to recognize that they share a common belief system. And when students recognize that they share a common belief system, then it gets safe to disagree about the little things. I think that one of the most virtuous things that we can teach our children, is how to pay it forward. And I would like to see APPE be engaged with that, both within academe and in the community at large. How is it that we can take the gifts that we have been given from our mentors and our peers and use that to create a better world for future generations?